This episode of the What's Happening Delco podcast is brought to you by Delco Meets for Business. Check us out on Meetup, register, and attend one of our fantastic networking meetings, which we meet on the first and third Thursday at the Brick House in Ridley Park, and the second and fourth Thursday at the Upper Crust in Newtown Square. We look forward to seeing you there. What's happening, Delco? I'm Rich Shane, and welcome to the What's Happening Delco podcast. Today, I'm joined by Don Blizzard of Averse Insurance. Don, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Rich, how are you?
I'm doing great, and we're going to talk insurance, but your insurance, what you do with insurance and how you bring it to me is fascinating, and it's different from what others do. What is Averse Insurance?
Okay, so Averse, we're a local brokerage. Recently, we have a national presence. We gained a national presence, I should say, through some relationships. So we're just an insurance company, local guys, trying to get the best rates for as many people as possible. We work with lots of different companies, and we work with specializing, I guess, with business insurance. We do a lot of personal insurance also, but business insurance is really what drives the agency.
Now, talk about business insurance. Talk about some of those facets of insurance that you get to help people, not just here in Delco, but nationwide.
So, well, we're in Delco. Most of our business is in the area. You can't do business insurance in Delco without doing contractors. So we do tons of contractors. That's your specialty contractors, home builders, general contractors, tree companies is a good one for us. We do some professional policies like offices, accountants, lawyers, consultants is a big one that you see popping up. But yeah, we specialize in work comp. That's a real pain point for a lot of small business owners, especially. We try to help them keep their costs down to just make them more efficient and help them keep their revenue up.
Don, I've heard you recently talk about at least one example, if not many, but one example of workman's comp where you've been able to help that client save a lot of money. Can you share that with our listener audience?
Yeah, it's a pretty typical process. Work comp, as I said, it's something that we specialize in. There's a lot of people out there that need help with workman's comp. They don't really know where to go. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So basically, when people start, they have employees, they have to protect them. If they get hurt on the job, they need to be able to get them paid while they're hurt. So a lot of businesses, like carpenters, for example, especially if they're a little higher risk, have a hard time getting their coverage at first. So we put them on a plan. We get them started when the costs are very high, and then we work with them to keep their, we help them with safety. We help them with processes, hiring practices, best practices to run the safest business possible, and then get their rates down. The example I think you're talking about is we had somebody go from about $40,000 or $39,000 a year in work comp all the way down to about $14,000 in 2 years. So that's business changing money for small businesses. It's not all that uncommon. A lot of times people start, they get it, and then they just don't know how to bring it down. We help them bring it down.
With Averse Insurance and how you're presenting how you help your clients, it sounds like you're very much also an insurance consultant, that you're not just looking at, all right, how do we get you coverage, but for a long-term plan or a business strategy for the bottom line. That's really, Don, where you come in with how you help your clients.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that sell insurance. We look at it like, obviously we sell insurance, but we look at it as partnering with business owners because, there has to be some kind of a relationship there. There has to be an expectation. They have needs. We set the expectation, fulfill their needs, and it's an ongoing process. So it's definitely way more of a consultative approach. We're not the agency where, we just sit there and quote all day long. We look for people that we can help. We formulate a plan and we execute it. So it's definitely more consultative, and I'm glad that comes through.
How did you get started with your company?
So I got started with insurance in general almost 20 years ago. It was as simple as being in my early 20s. One of my friends asked me how much I was making. He told me how much he was making with an insurance job, and that's why I got into it. That was a lot of personal insurance back then. Started with Erie Insurance. I've worked for State Farm, worked for two different brokers. I've been here at Risk Averse since February 1st, 2019. How it all came together is something that we can get into another time. I mean, it wasn't something that I expected to happen, but I'm really glad that it did happen and it worked out. In the long run, in the short run, it's already a lot better. And in the long run, I mean, the sky's the limit for me here. So I'm happy that I'm to be there at Risk Averse.
I'm sure you have a lot of conversations with your clients and customers about, let's say, coverage versus cost. And in a lot of ways, as consumers, as me as a homeowner or as a business owner, what are some of those little tips, or what's one tip that you can give somebody to set themselves up more for success that you're maybe repeating yourself with your customers' clients quite often?
So this is actually the golden bullet right here. I mean, if I could get this message out to people in a short, concise way where they would actually listen. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about home and auto or a business with 100 employees. The best tip that I give people is don't make it about money. We all know that if our price isn't good, that you're probably not going to buy a policy. There's fair and then there's good. I always say good, fast, cheap, pick two. So if you make it about money and you're buying something that you don't really understand, you're just setting yourself up to get taken advantage of, because you have to remember, I'm going to quote or cite a book, Freakonomics. People will inherently do what they're financially incentivized to do. Most insurance agents don't get paid unless they sell you a policy. So if you make it all about price, they will find a way to hit your price demand. And then you might have a gap in coverage and be one of those people that thinks insurance is a ripoff.
I think that's great advice. And more often than not, I think in your experience over 20 years, you've had people come back to you and say, Don, I wish I knew about what I should have had when there's a specific need at that time. And you can't go back and rewrite a policy based on cost or based on what you're being charged, right?
Absolutely right. It's just like health insurance. You can't go out and buy the health insurance that you need after you're sick. It's the same thing with home and auto. And I always tell people, you don't want to find out that you have a 1% deductible when you're standing in 3 feet of water, or maybe you don't have backup of sewer and drain. So you want to make sure, educate yourself on insurance a little bit, make sure you know what you're covered for, what you're not covered for. And like I said, you do not need to tell an insurance agent that you want something cheap. It is the worst thing you can do. We all know that the price matters. You don't need to harp on it.
Who mentors you?
Mark Millison. I work with Mark Millison. He's one of the two owners. He's unbelievable. He has an unbelievable amount of knowledge for a 40-year-old when it comes to commercial insurance. So pretty much anything that I bring in, he can help me get it done if I don't know what I'm doing, or if it's something that I haven't worked on before, the type of business or something like that. I mean, we have underwriters and a lot of people that help, but when it comes down to working hands-on, nobody's helped me probably more than Mark Millison.
Awesome. How do people find you? How do they connect with you to get started on you helping them with their insurance needs?
So, I mean, I'm always available by phone. We don't do a lot of marketing other than, we just started doing some cold calls, but pretty much I'm all word of mouth. I'm word of mouth. I've been that way for almost 20 years. I mean, going to groups like your group, other networking groups. I think my name also helps me. I mean, my name is pretty easy to remember, and people hear it. They know of me. I think I'm starting to get, pretty well known in the area for small business insurance. But we're always around. We do a lot of things on Zoom and a lot of things over the phone and email now. I still prefer to meet in person. I mean, I'm always open to meeting with a business owner or anybody in person, coffee, whatever. But I mean, pretty much however they want to meet.
You mentioned your phone number.
Yeah.
Which number can people call if they want to call you right now, Don?
Call or text. It's my personal cell, 484-429-3332.
And a website that they can go to if they're looking to find out more about you?
www.riskaverseinsurance.com. And I will point out that there is no D. It's Averse, Averse. We get adverse a lot.
Perfect. That's a great tip for people as well. All right, Delco, Don, let's talk Delco. You're out and about in the community and you have a craving for a cheesesteak. Where are you going?
So There's a lot of good cheesesteak places, but I'm going to give you one that just opened up, brand new. It is. I'm not a big cheesesteak guy either, but it's a. You know where Wimpy's used to be on 252?
Yes.
So that place changed over. It's called Van Horn's now. It's just a sandwich shop, and they have excellent sandwich shops. I mean, excellent. And I'll throw Pinocchio's in there because I go there a lot. We like a lot of their sandwiches and their pizza and beer garden also.
All right. I was going to ask you about a pizza choice. If you've already satisfied that cheesesteak craving, is there anywhere else that you would go to besides Pinocchio's for pizza, or is that your go-to?
I'll give you a go-to pizza only type place. It's also a newer place right around where I live. It's called Poseidon Pizza. It's I think they have roots to like Angelo's somehow in the city, which everybody knows is awesome. Their pizza is really, really good at Poseidon.
You're out and about again, and you're going to see a client, and you have a need for a convenience store. Are you stopping at Royal Farms, or are you stopping at Wawa?
Oh, I'm gonna keep my roots here. I'm gonna go Wawa. I like Royal Farms, but I would go Wawa if I had the choice.
Don, how do you explain Delco to somebody that is either not from here or has never heard of Delco before?
Oh man. So I'm in like some national groups for other things that I do. And believe it or not, a lot of people know of Delco. A lot of people know about the red police cars, but I would just say it's kind of like it's a place to live, but it's also kind of like a way to live. It's like a tight, I don't know. It's hard to explain from somebody that's not around, but I would say it's an area, but it's just a way also. Delco has its own vibe. It's got a lot of things. It's like a little mini, I don't know, like a little mini country, if you will. You can hear the accent no matter where you are in the world. You hear a Delco accent, you know it immediately.
You have friends or family coming in from out of town and you want to take them or give them that Delco experience. Where are you sending them, or where are you going to be taking them?
How old are my friends?
Hey, they're your friends.
All right. So, it's a good question. I mean, you always get some food. What I usually do is I ask people what they're in the mood for, because, I mean, you can just go right out to State Street. I mean, any type of food that you want. State Street's a good place to start. There's always some live music up there on weekends. But yeah, I think you'd probably start at State Street, and especially when the weather's nice, just walk up and down, just wherever you kind of end up, whatever you're in the mood for. Once you're up there, you can pretty much get anything.
Don, what motivates you? What gets you out of bed every morning?
I'm a really, really competitive person. I'm learning to make those competitions like healthy in my brain, like me versus myself rather than me versus other people. But every day I'm just trying to compete. You know, it actually comes from a book I read or listened to called Compete to Create. Pete Carroll's whole thing is always be competing no matter what you're doing. So, you know, and I'm just trying to win, and winning to me is just being able to have a good life, all the stuff that I wanted growing up, all the stuff that I had that I loved growing up for my son, and just, you know, coming home as stress-free as possible, spending time with my kid. And, you know, work gives me the ability to do a lot of good stuff.
Is there anything we haven't talked about on the podcast today? Anything you want listeners to know more about you or risk-averse insurance?
I would just say when it comes to insurance, everybody thinks it's the same. And, you know, as far as the products that most insurance agencies, brokerages like us sell, a lot of them have the same thing. One thing that we do a little different is that we kind of, hopefully this makes sense, we kind of try to take trust off the table. You know, a lot of brokers say, hey, we have 10 or 20 or 50 different companies. We'll shop it. We'll give you the best offer. Trust us. We kind of, right when you get to the trust us part, we change that, because we have a process that we follow where, like I said earlier, we set an expectation. We show you who we're going to quote, and then we show you the results at the end. So there's really no need to trust us. We're going to take that extra step and show you why the option that we're recommending is the best option, and maybe even a secondary option based on the conversations we had. But I think a lot of people have a hard time trusting their agent, and our process kind of takes trust out of it. I mean, you'll learn to trust us, but we show you a lot of things, and we're very transparent. A lot of people use the word transparency. We actually use that in our everyday process for business owners.
Fantastic. Don, I really appreciate your time today, and I'm grateful to learn more about what you and what Risk Averse does. Look, if you're just thinking about your insurance right now, wondering if you have the right coverage, if you need more coverage, or hey, maybe there are some additional products that you didn't think about, this is a great opportunity. Reach out to Don and let him help you in the same way that he helps his customers. And I'm quite sure, Don, they're going to be happy that they did.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate that.
Thanks for being a friend of What's Happening, Delco. And we can't wait to hear more about what Risk Averse is doing and to see you at Delco Meets for Business this Thursday.
We'll see you there. Can't wait.
Hey, it's Rich. Thank you so much for being a listener to the What's Happening Delco podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn more about the people and businesses in our community. I have been a real estate agent for over 25 years, working with first-time home buyers to last-time home sellers. As a listener of the podcast, my gift to you is a complimentary 1-year American Home Shield home warranty. This is for buyers and sellers that I help. If you're looking to move anywhere in the United States, I have you covered with an amazing network of real estate agents. I look forward to hearing from you. My direct line is 215-313-3777, or you can email me at rshaneremax@comcast.net. Oh, by the way, I am never too busy for any of your referrals.